door. Remember when I built this storage door? Tore out the old one that came with the rental, put in this scrap one that I found on the side of the road, stuck all these bins on it to hold spray paint cans, and at the end of the video, like usual, I said something along the lines of, if I don't like it, I can just fix it later. And now is later, so let's just tear it up and rebuild this thing.
I really like the idea of using my door as storage, but my proof of concept did have some weak points. The paint cans didn't come out very smoothly. The shelves were poorly constructed because I kind of changed the design along the way.
Then the shorter middle shelves are even worse. It's a trimmed 2x4 with a shim and then with another shim to even out this gap.
Not to mention the only long screws I had at that moment were Phillips heads. I usually use Torx. Overall, this will just be a quick and easy project, taking something from the prototype stage to the more usable stage. My first step is disassembling the old shelves to get out the shorter Torx screws that I did have in there. Then the door itself is getting reused. I'm just stripping it down to give it a bit of a cosmetic and safety upgrade.
I'm gonna repaint it because I think some of this exposed white color is lead paint. Don't know what color I'm gonna paint it yet though. Definitely a green. There's a lot of orange going on in the studio and I want more green. But I'm kind of thinking about like a Rhett and Link, Good Mythical Morning, neon green accent, you know? With like dark wood shelving. Also, the backside has been gray this whole time. I think I'm gonna leave it like a neutral color. I might even just paint it white so it doesn't stand out too much in this white hallway. I have this latex paint that's just been sitting on this shelf for a while, but I think laying down a thick layer of white over the whole thing will help save paint on whatever color I use.
The correct way to do a new paint job would be to sand everything down thoroughly, but in case any of it is lead paint, I'm not trying to screw around with that dust. I threw on an excessively thick coat and moved forward to construction.
So for my new shelves on the door, I think I'm gonna reuse some pieces from these little drawers. I got these for free a year or two ago. I don't really use drawers like this, but I loved the wood faces. The structure around it is in a lot worse shape, but these are still very solid and nice looking. So I think I'm just gonna cut them up and reuse these as shelves on the door. Well, that's convenient. They're like the exact right width to fit in these little pockets. So I can probably just trim them shorter and then we'll be good to go. Oh yeah, that'll look nice.
Then I decided to roll on a second coat of paint, which may not have been a smart idea. It was raining outside and the humidity made that dry way slower. I'm used to always using spray paint for everything where it dries super fast and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing as much. So after the second coat of white, I decided to move forward with my neutral color for the outside of the door.
Yeah, that's gonna be way faster. This will be my backup color for the inside if I don't like the neon green.
I probably would have gone with white if I had any white spray paint laying around, but it's still no money May. I'm only using what I already got. While I wait for this to dry so I can flip it and do the green side, I started chopping things up to assemble more shelves. I used some extra material from the drawers I disassembled to make 2 smaller shelves. My original concept had 4 long ones and 2 short ones, so I figured I'd do the same thing here. Then I just had to paint the face of the thing green and start to fit stuff together. I was not confident that I was going to like this green. Looking at it completely bare outside of the studio, it did feel a bit tacky, but I decided to move forward and just hope that the real-life version would look something like what I'd pictured in my head. My idea is that the crazy green with the beautiful ornate shelving will be a cool pop of color in the workshop.
Alright, now we throw this up and see how goofy it looks. Oh yeah, that's bright green. I don't like how it looks yet. I did not think this through. I don't think the paint cans will be able to get out of these compartments. Okay. Minor adjustments.
I started with remounting 2 of the larger shelves to allow more clearance for the paint cans to come out.
Okay, this is better. With the new spacing of those, obviously these have to move. And honestly, I feel like these cheapen the look of the whole thing compared to the much more ornate, bigger ones. So I'm going to remove these entirely and fill this center area with other different functional stuff.
With the smaller center shelves removed, I was liking the look of this thing a lot more. I decided to add in a big old pull handle, feels nice and sturdy. Then I went ahead and added some mounts for things that didn't have a home, like my rolls of gaff tape, at which point I realized on those thinner panels I was sending screws all the way through to the other side. So for some extra mounting rigidity, I added some 2x6s on the back. Just gives me a bit more flexibility in what I can mount here. I stuck on some little rails for stuff like measuring tapes and knives that are always moving around the place, and a hook for the impact driver when I'm not using it.
My idea here is using the door as storage for a couple tools that I usually use inside the workshop and outside, so it's kind of always in the middle ground between the two.
The last thing I want, since this is a spray paint shelf, is some kind of tray for all my spray paint caps. I used this piece of scrap metal, straightened out one of the folds in the vise, and I cut it down and used the ends to fold up and turn it into a tray. Having a place to keep extra spray paint caps around is pretty useful. When a can gets clogged up, you can just swap them out and keep going, and you can swap caps for more precise or wider spray patterns, so this little easy access tray is going to come in handy.
I'm finishing it off with hangers for a couple yardsticks. I've got little extra screw stoppers on there so they don't swing around too much. And I know you're probably thinking this thing makes a whole racket every time you close it. It's actually not that bad. It's definitely very heavy now, but I kind of like the action of that. And in theory, it keeps all the paint kind of shaking every time you close it. I really like this kind of design process when there's an idea I'm not sure is going to be practical. Just kind of build it out of materials that I'm not going to miss as much, pallet wood, warped boards, whatever. And then I get to live with it for a few months, see if the idea has merit, and I can come back and rebuild it a bit nicer. It's a low stakes way of getting something off the idea board and into real life, which is something I'm sure we all struggle with. My ideas board is way too long. Anyway, I think this is what the door is going to look like for a while. Now that it's all settled in place, I think the green totally works within the context of the studio. And that is another project off the list with $0 spent once again. One last thing, if you'd like to support the channel, help keep more videos coming, check out my website, evanmonsma.com. Become a member, you get all the videos ad-free, also downloads for all my music. I've also just added a one-time donation button if you want to help financially support, but memberships aren't really your thing. It helps out more than you know. Big thank you to all the members that are already on the site. I'm doing my best to put out as much content as I can with what I got, but I'd love to be doing so much more. This is my life. My bedroom looks like this. I live for this stuff, but I'm still very much on the path of making this a sustainable full-time gig, and your direct support is the best way to help me out on that journey. That's all. Check out evanmonsma.com. Link should be on the screen. I will see you very shortly with another video. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your time.